after I had set things up with another co-host that I guess something went wrong with his car today, and he needs to do a little bit of a fundraiser. So just a little bit. So we actually have a PayPal link that I just put in the side chat. I'm going to ask the mods to copy and paste that and put that in the side chat periodically as well. But yeah, please support Cirrus a little bit if you've got the ability to. Cirrus, you want to talk to the chat a little bit about what happened?
Oh, sure. So, first of all, given the condensed nature of everything, I've got this much rice to consume still, and I am terribly sorry about that. But I've leftover rice. It's great. But basically, what happened is we have been putting off the vehicle repairs for a decent bit. There were some painting things we had to do with the house first, and we were segmenting, like, these are the projects we have to do. Need to get certain parts of the house painted, especially the outside, because the outside is wood and didn't have ceiling paint yet, so that's kind of a priority, else mold. So we're like, okay, that's priority 1, because mold is bad. Next month, priority will be car. And then halfway through this month, car said, "You picked the wrong one." And the way that happened was as we were driving back from up in Calhoun, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from where I am, on the last 5 minutes to get home, in the middle of 5 o'clock traffic, my car basically said, "It's time, your tire's going to explode." Not just, "You have a flat, pull off on the side of the road." No, like, legitimately, if I can show a picture real quick, I have it.
Is it too graphic?
I mean,
I
don't know if you can. There's the tire and everything else. It completely went boom. It's gone. It's dead.
That does not look fun.
That's fun in the middle of 5 o'clock traffic. In you know, the Atlanta region where 5 o'clock traffic means nobody moves.
Which so like LA traffic then, basically.
So basically like Seattle traffic.
Everybody lives in big cities, and everybody understands this. It's so welcoming. So, on the list of repairs that the car had been needing, one of which was also blinkers, because, again, if you live in Atlanta and you don't have functional blinkers, eventually you're going to get rear-ended by somebody. We actually had, I mentioned on Twitter at one point, somebody threw a rock at the car. I actually have a video of our confrontation with the individual afterwards.
Am I the only one that can't hear Cirrus? Is this normal?
Callan, that is a tech issue on your end. You might want to refresh and come back in.
But we actually had somebody, like, literally throw a rock at the car and then have a confrontation with us afterwards because I could not use a blinker. So that may be escalating into a bit more of a safety issue on that end as well. So we're like, okay, need the blinkers. It's not the fuses. It's not the bulbs, because we've already traded all that.
Do you use hand signals at all? Like, that's what Dana did when one of our blinkers went out.
The thing is, though, is that hand signals do not stop road rage.
Fair enough.
Hand signals also don't work very well when you're following a GPS that is late to the party and tells you that it's your turn now. The hand signals generally only work after you've used them long enough for somebody to actually register, "Oh, this dude's using hand signals." So, not the perfect solution, especially not in the middle of a city, unfortunately. And we've already went through the bulbs, we've already went through the fuses, so we're like, okay, instead of it being instead of being any of the cheap options, I guess it's going to be the expensive wiring one. That sucks. And then, of course, the other two major issues, aside from tire blow up, so car no move, and blinkers no there, so rocks get thrown at Cirrus, has been no AC, and we have 2 people in the house who are very prone to heat. I don't actually have that issue, even though I get hot very much. It doesn't actually affect me medically, but Aaron and Raz both get affected by it very badly, and so car rides are essentially a form of torture. So
basically, guys, that PayPal link that Gainer's spamming there in the chat, if y'all have any sympathy towards that and have even a little bit to spare, because, like, everybody knows the pandemic fucking sucks and we're all kind of squeezed, like, if you have something, again, that's part of the reason why Cirrus was the person that I ended up picking for co-host tonight, was like, hey, let's get some love from the pagan side, because that's kind of what allyship's all about, right? Like, helping our friends out.
Oh, there's one last thing, though. One last absolutely fun thing, and this one might actually be, like... You know how the tire's a ticking time bomb? This other one's a fun ticking time bomb. Our radiator fluid has rust in it. So that's
shit.
That's got to be fully flushed out, else we're eventually going to have the radiator explode. Which,
if there's rust in it, there might be holes in your radiator too that you might have to get checked, because that's what happened to our PT Cruiser back before we got the Prius that we currently have. Yeah, I know. Press F to pay respects for my dignity, chat. My husband works like 10 miles out from my house and gets stuck in bad traffic, so we needed a Prius. Like, we don't haul anything, so we didn't have a reason not to. But anyway, like our PT Cruiser, we did the radiator flush ourselves, which we knew how to do, and there was rust in it. And then all of a sudden, as we were flushing it, like the radiator fluid started coming out the bottom of the carriage, and we realized that it had actually rusted through, and that's why there was rust in our radiator fluid.
So I'm hoping that it is not something like that. My hope is that we'll just have to flush it and put new in, and I'm hoping with the AC, all it is just dumping some refrigerant in. Growlithe is very upset. Put new in. I'm hoping with the
Growlithe used Bork. It was very effective.
Yes. So that's my hope. That's my hope. My hope is that even though it was the expensive I hate myself solution with the blinkers, I'm hoping that it's not that with the radiator, and I'm hoping that it's not that with the refrigerant. So I'm shooting the goal to like just a little above what it will take to do the wiring, the refrigerant, the radiator flush, and the tire. If we get more, that will likely be helpful just in case it's, you know, more than just you needed to flush this thing. If it is holes, then I'm going to have a long period of self-reflection and also self-hatred ahead of me. But that's not something I'm not already used to, so...
So, now that we've very thoroughly introduced our co-host, our guests tonight are actually... Oh, gods, Growlithe. Our guests tonight are actually the other dynamic atheist and polytheist duo. So, like, Cirrus and Ocean came on as our first guests, and we ended up having... I wanted to have Callan and Shay on, but Shay is, you know, has a job and wasn't able to guarantee that she could get the day off, so we pushed it out a couple weeks so that she would. Callan and Shay are from Transgard, which is one of those shining examples of allyship work in the community between an atheist and a polytheist. So welcome, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having us on. It's quite an honor to be here. I don't know about dynamic duos, per se. No, we're kind of fucking
okay, so dynamic duo in the Adam West sense.
Well, I mean, you guys definitely, like, you guys had me on your channel, which was a lot of fun. We talked about polyamory, but you guys also helped out during my recent J.K. Rowling collab.
Oh
yeah. We did that, didn't we?
We did.
That was a lot of editing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We both talk a little slow. We're both constantly using ums. And, like, I don't know how you had the patience to get through all that. I tried to cut it down as much as I could, and then, like, even then.
I'm sorry, I was being ADD. What did you, say,
So, as per usual, now that we have gone through an extensive, lengthy introduction, I will ask you guys the very first question that is asked to everybody on the show, assuming we don't screw off into ADHD land for a minute. I'll ask Callan first, because Callan's directly below my picture. What does allyship mean to you?
It means not fucking over your friends and actively combating your own prejudices and not allowing people to be abused.
Shay, do you want to add to that?
I know this has kind of been a constant meme on the channel, but for atheists especially, shutting the fuck up, finding some common ground. Like, we're both fighting against, like, a Christian hegemony that wants to either kill us or take away our human rights. So the best thing that we can do is come together and, you know, fucking fight.
You had your head in the atheist space. I had my head in the more trans ally space.
I mean, same. That's what we do on our channel.
True.
So, do you guys want to... So, do you guys want to talk about that sort of relationship that you guys have on your channel? Because you guys have a similar dynamic to the way that, like, say, Jen and I interact, where, you know, like, even though you both are completely, like, separate in terms of your religious beliefs, you've come together not only just for a cause that you both support, but there's an element of respect there as well.
Y'all all keep on copying Hammered Out, and it's real annoying.
I mean, Hammered Out is more like, you guys talk more about like generalized show, you know, generalized like topic type things. Whereas for this is specifically an allyship show, I guess.
Oh, wait, hold up. Hammered Out is with that bald guy, right?
Yeah, whatever his name is. Lake Man, I guess? I don't know.
He started as condensation in a library, so bring him back to the origins.
Sorry. We don't see him very often.
Oh my god, the puns have begun rolling.
The puns are flowing like a river.
So, Callan, you need to get closer to your mic. There are folks saying that they can barely hear you.
Hello? Hello? Is this enough?
You're a little louder, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're still, like, really low compared to Shay and Aliakai, though.
That's weird. Maybe if I do this helps?
Yeah, there's nothing that I can do on my end to make Callan louder. Like, Callan has to make Callan louder on their own.
Callan has to make Callan louder.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do to manipulate you.
Hello?
I
can shout.
I mean, that kind of made you just go robot-y.
There's no way to turn it up on the side of StreamYard, is there?
Nope. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to do that. This is why you need to get your damn computer fixed, Callan.
I thought you got it fixed.
It's fixed. I just need to figure out I just need to finish testing the setup.
Oh,
because
fair.
right now I don't want the mic to slide off my desk.
That's fair. So, coming back to, I guess, the questions, like, one of the big things that I've seen on your guys' channel is, again, like, you guys are working together on a common cause, and there's obviously an element of respect between the two of you, which anti-theists in the community recently came into my Discord specifically to tell me isn't possible, so do you guys want to talk about that?
To be completely honest, for, like, the longest time, I, like, looked up to Callan and was, like, afraid to talk to her. That's kind of been, like, a regular thing for me with a lot of people, not gonna lie.
Wait, Shay, isn't that the exact same story that you have for, like, how we met?
Yes.
Is that okay? That sounded like a so like my history with Callan began with me asking Shannon Q, "Hey, who do I talk to for like really solid sociology research for this debate I'm gonna have?" And she was just like, "Oh yeah, Callan for that." Like, okay, that works.
Yeah, I think one of the first times I interacted with Callan, actually, you even pointed me in her direction while I was like looking up some stuff on like trans issues.
Look, if you don't like pagans in the community, Cirrus is your problem, okay? Like, Cirrus introduced me to Callan, too. Like, literally, I approached Callan with, hey, by the way, Cirrus told me that you're somebody to get to know.
It's all Cirrus.
I am. Wait.
I make the joke to Ocean every now and again that, like, hey, guys, sorry, it's my fault that Ocean, like, started YouTube channel, like, officially and all this other fun stuff. But now I'm starting to think that actually maybe I am the common denominator, and I opened those floodgates, and I want to apologize, but I'm not going to.
Wait, hold up.
I mean, you're the reason I have a channel, too. Like, you and I were going to work together, and then you directed me to the channel that must not be named, and you also encouraged me to start this channel, too, when I wasn't going to.
Wait, hold up. Do you mean I'm the only one here that Cirrus has not introduced to this community, but who was introduced by Ocean into this community?
Wait, hold on, Callan. Were you introduced to the community? You were introduced into the community by Ocean first.
Yes.
And then I think your first big YouTube thing after that was when we did our collaboration, right?
I think it was.
No, look, there was also the, there's also, what the heck is it called? Freaking Sticks and Stonehenge, which used to be Polyology. That was Callan's other big project.
True, but I think me and Callan did ours before Polyology?
No, it was during polyology.
It was during.
Yeah, it was during. We got really excited when you had the collab, because it was right after we did the rebrand of Sticks and Stonehenge.
Because it was around that time. I remember having the conversations of like, this is gonna make shouting out the channel awkward, but we're gonna do it anyway. I remember those conversations now. Okay, I get it. The timeline is clean. The timeline has been purified. We're good. We got it.
I find it funny that I invite somebody who does not have ADHD, as far as I know, on, and the ADHD is even stronger. Like, how does this happen?
All my decisions are made by one of these.
This is true.
So Shay, there is this idea though in the anti-theist community that atheists of any kind can't respect us because you guys don't respect our beliefs. Do you want to comment on that a little bit? Because like Cyrus talked about that during his interview as well. And like for some, I don't understand like where that thought process comes from, but you said that you used to be in the angry atheist phase, so maybe you might be able to elaborate a little bit.
You see, my biggest problem is I took a lot of notes from like really shitty like actors in the atheist community for a long time. People like The Amazing Atheist. He was like the person that got me into atheism in the first place. But that was because like back when he first started his channel, he was very like LGBTQ+ friendly. Then that slipped up. Now it's getting better.
I was about to say, TJ's actually been getting a lot better lately.
Yeah, a lot better, honestly. Like, I watched his stream yesterday. He was, like, he criticized himself on a lot of his, like, anti-trans stuff, which is completely interesting. I mean, completely, like, caught me off guard. Because, like, it wasn't just too long ago that he was shitting on non-binary people, but it's good. People learn and grow, you know? But, that all being said... fucking I think it was really like being part of like this like end of the community that like really like showed me like why all that was wrong. Like over like the last like year and a half or so of experience, like I guess you can say social growth.
I mean, you had about meeting me.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Callan. It sounds like a farewell or something, but like, no, you're like one of my best friends.
It was a pleasure meeting you. We are over now.
No.
I mean, you and I actually had some really interesting discussions too, like when we first met, because we first met about a year ago.
Yeah.
You were one of the first guests on one of my panels.
Mm-hmm. I think you were one of the first people I told during like my whole questioning phase too.
Yeah, me and I believe Aaron was the other one.
Yeah, Aaron... somebody else who's probably shouldn't be named.
Yeah, that other person goes onto the unnameable list because they smashed Frith.
Yeah, I think any more subtweeting and there's no reason to actually say person who must not be named, so maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few. There's like a short list of people who must not be named on this channel, and like longtime viewers will know who they are, and the rest of everybody's like, what?
Well, actually, in order to know who this person is, you would have to really been paying attention for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. But like as far as the whole respect thing, like what does that look like in your relationship with Callan? Because obviously you both answer the, like deity question differently, and yet there's a great deal of respect and synergy between the two of you.
Well, the thing is that Shay believes in the tech gremlins, so...
I mean, there's that.
The tech gremlins. The tech gremlins are definitely a real thing. I have to sacrifice my roommates, like, cis blood just to satiate them every now and then. It's either that or, like, pretty gifts of rapids, but, the roommates are a little bit closer, so I don't have to, type in my computer. That all being said, like I said, spinning around backtracking to what I was saying earlier, I learned a lot about like mental health issues, and, like calling somebody delusional without like having any sort of like medical background is kind of extremely ableist.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to respect and everything like that, honestly, when Callan talks about like religious stuff, like to me it's like super intriguing. I like learning about like different like belief sets and all that kind of stuff. I don't have to sit there and like agree with it to not find it like super interesting, you know what I mean? Like I've actually been finding myself watching a lot more polytheist content than like even atheist content lately.
Yeah, you were talking about that on the Discord, which, by the way, for anybody chilling in my chat, the link to the Discord is in my description. It's an allyship space for atheists and polytheists. If you do join, make sure you read the rules. There are certain things like, for example, using delusional or irrational to refer to religious belief that are banned from the debate rooms. But the Discord structure, if you're part of services, should be fairly familiar to you, considering Raz helped me build it.
Yep, and if you wake up one day and you find that it's all in like Nahuatl or Ancient Greek, that's my fault.
One of these days, Callan.
Usually there's just a corner dedicated to Callan, so like if you stay away from that corner, you should be okay. But if you go near the corner, you know the scene in Indiana Jones where you're just like, snakes. Why does it have to be snakes? Well, if you walk into that corner, that's about what it is. It's everywhere.
Snakes are so adorable.
Her snakes are really cute, though.
No, this is true. It's many cuddles. They can hug you many times over.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they can even devour you.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're indivore, but that's not what we're here for, right?
Nobody was talking about that, Cirrus. Press F to pay respects for the focus of the stream. So, do you guys want to talk about the theming of your guys' channel? Because obviously, with a name like Transgarder, that kind of gives you an idea of it. But like, Callan, first, do you want to get into like the Old English of the name and kind of how you guys came up with the concept?
Well, I mean, I guess first I should also probably talk about the question that you asked to Shay about allyship.
Mm-hmm.
So fun fact in the server, I actually have separate channels dedicated to various gods, so that way pagans can actually make offerings if they want.
That's cool.
And, really the thing is that I don't have to proselytize my religion, and that helps a ton. I'm not, because, yeah, I don't have to be Christian. It's so nice.
You mean this all wasn't just a secret imperative for you to subvert all of our thoughts and take and what was the dumb way that was worded by Histon? Hit us with trans hypno porn or something like that? That's
the communism. That's
the communism.
So just so you guys know, that there is nobody to tell Cirrus to put down the bread tonight, considering the bread loves all of us.
Everybody, the bread loaves you all.
Oh god. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, so the name itself isn't actually Old English, it's Old Norse.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the sort of idea of a gardler, which is like an area around your settlement that's fenced off, like from everyone else, so that way
I reject your reality and substitute my own gainer.
No, Gainer's reality is correct.
I reject your gainer and substitute with my own. It's the same gainer, but it's just moderator on 2 different servers.
But anyhow, so this enclosure, which is basically, it's a place where people can come and not have to worry about true scum or any other problematic people. And when they do become problematic, they just get instantly banned.
Yeah, that's kind of true. We don't want people like in the server or anything like sitting there like abusing like our members and like invalidating their identities and stuff. That causes a lot of like inner turmoil. Like,
yep, and we've got a similar safe space set up. Jen and I have a similar safe space set up over in our server as well. Like basically the only topics that are banned from the debate rooms are topics relating to trans identity. Like nobody shall be, invalidated in that way. Like if you don't believe in that, you probably don't belong in our server anyway.
Okay, and so now, as for where the idea came from, as much as I like to pin the idea on Shay, just for the heck of it, it was actually me. And it was mainly a result of looking around, because, being a pagan and whatnot, I have a lot of community support. But then I looked around and was like, damn, it really sucks to be a trans atheist, doesn't it? Because, they keep, the amount of rejection and subtle transphobia that I see, it's just so high.
It depends on where you're at.
If you're on, mine and Shay's side of YouTube, generally you don't have the transphobia as much, but that's also because a lot of people like us spend a decent bit of time hammering out that space, just like, this place needs more wood. It needs to be safer.
Right.
Exactly. But you also have to keep in mind, this was also prior to that. This was, like, during the days of, like, nonsense.
Yeah.
And so, there wasn't really that many spaces, and then some of the spaces that I thought were being forged out turned out to be forged by people who shall not actually be named here.
Again.
A particular person who ended up backstabbing me, and I was like, fuck all this. I'll just hammer it out myself. And so that's how the idea of Transgard came to be. And then I was like, oh, Shay, you're trans. I'm gonna drag you over here. And Shay said, okay.
So hold on. It's Aliakai grabs Jen because Jen is a dragon. I grab Ocean because we're both from the debate side of YouTube. And Callan grabs Shay because Callan basically just went, This one's from that place that has the flag that gets all the pretty girls. I want that one. Okay. That's my co-host now.
Yeah.
That's the story. That's how we did it. I grabbed a debate bro. Aliakai was like, I like dragons. And Callan was like, this one's pretty.
I'm pretty sure Callan also saw how I am on Twitter when it comes to dealing with like trans medicalists and stuff. And that.
I mean, to be fair, like Cirrus, it was actually more like the dragon chose me, because how do you say no to a dragon? Like, it's kind of like what happened when a cat picks you. Like, you can't say no. That's basically what happened with Jen.
So you're
I was
saying
like, I'm going to do a show. Basically, like, I was like, I'm going to do a show, and Jen was like, I'm going to be your co-host. Okay.
Well, here's what I will say. There's a reason why Shay is known as the cam girl in our server. I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, no.
I'm always on camera.
But yeah, no, I was like, there needs to be a nice space. It needs to be run by trans people.
50 tokens or not, I'm not taking my shirt off, okay?
It's 50 tokens, remember, Shay?
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Shay, you need.
So, do you guys want to talk about the stuff that you actually do on your Transgarder channel? Because, again, I've been on there for an interview, and that was a lot of fun. But you've also brought on a number of other creators, including one that was chilling in our chat a bit ago. You guys are a sister channel to Christy Abbey, yeah?
Yeah, well, to the Fluid Voice. I guess like Christy Abbey's channel is like very attached to that. So I guess by default that's kind of true.
I don't know. I view Christy's channel more as a grandma channel because like it's been around for a while. It's like older than ours, and so I'm just like, your channel is like sort of a channel that we partially model ourselves out after, in a way, because we do the interviews and whatnot, but we also do other stuff. So yeah.
So one of the biggest like aspects of our channel, kind of like Callan was mentioning earlier, is community building. There hasn't been a lot of like great spaces for like trans and like other LGBTQ plus people in like the wider atheist community, and I'm pretty sure that's also parallel to a lot of places in like the wider pagan community. Not obviously like Ocean server or like anything like that, but
I tend to take care of transfers very quickly in Ocean server.
Good.
Is that like so the question is, in a video game, of course, because this is happening on a Discord server where physical harm cannot come to anyone, how many scalps do you have?
It's not really a matter of scouts. I've been looking into a lot of Aztec paganism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about the hearts and the blood in Minecraft.
God damn.
Hearts in the blood in Minecraft. 10 out of 10.
But
we'll just say that there have been many jugs offered.
so long with trying to build like that, accepting and welcoming like community space. That's like we also do our best to like raise other trans voices like within the community, and use their experiences as a way to like educate others like of the wider trans experience and other issues as well. I'm not sure if you saw like our interview with Kotia just recently, but we're currently going on a theme with these interviews about like how moving left has brought people towards like I want to say self-realization, but that's like a completely different term. Like,
I mean,
well, Callan and Kotia are doing a podcast together, aren't you guys?
Oh yeah, that's right, we are. We're doing that too, the religious left.
Yeah.
That's more though about religion and leftist politics, because Religious left, well, we don't really tend to be represented that well. But that aside, yeah, we do. What were you saying, Shay? Sorry.
I was saying
I saw a squirrel.
we do a lot of interviews to like race like trans voices and stuff like that.
Raising trans voices and just talking also about intersectionality a lot too, because a lot of people, and I guess, oh wait, that's right. Isn't intersectionality one of those words that like people fear?
Yeah. Do you want to
understand it?
Do you want to give a breakdown on what intersectionality is for folks who aren't familiar? I mean, I've got a largely lefty audience, but I mean, it's always worth going over the basics.
All right. So, long story short, there's this person named Patricia Collins. She's a black feminist. She basically looked at oppression and she viewed it more in a different way. Instead of it being additive, she noticed that it was more intersectional. So what do I mean by additive? Additive basically means, well, how many ways can you get fucked? Who's more fucked? Do we have the white woman who is more fucked? Or is it the black trans Jewish woman who is more fucked? Most people would say it's the black trans Jewish woman. But the problem is that that's looking at it as sort of oppression Olympics kind of way.
It's also like every single notch you have on an identification meter somehow increases society's general, not hatred, but just like general oppression of you, and that's not super accurate. So I can see why she would look at that differently.
Right. So instead of viewing it additive, though, and she decided to take a look and say, well, how do we explain like the differences between sort of the black Jewish trans girl and the white woman? Both are technically oppressed classes, but there seems to be sort of this difference, and the way she came to that is that, okay, oppressive forces actually operate on various different identities rather than necessarily just one layer after another. So for example, there are some spaces in which a white woman is oppressed, but there are other spaces in which the white woman is the oppressor. And so what you get is, instead of viewing it as additive, it's viewed as this intersection. That is, there's a section of experience of being a white woman, of being both privileged and unprivileged, of being a black trans woman.
Something you just did to your mic made it impossible to hear you.
Yeah, you sound like you're muffled very badly now.
Okay, is this better?
Significantly.
Hello?
Yeah, so much better.
Alright, cool. So, what ends up happening is that...
And you just muffled it again. Wherever you had it when you asked if it was better was good, and then you moved it again.
Is this better?
That's better.
Callan, do I need to send you a streaming microphone? Shay can tell you I'm no stranger to just sending equipment to people. Like, do you need one?
The funny thing is, no, I actually don't. What I need is a better streaming computer.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're done with your explanation of intersectionality, by the way, we've got a question for the, I think the whole panel, but it was directed at Cirrus, and then we have another question that was directed at you and Shay. So I want to make room for those when you're done explaining intersectionality.
Well, I'm pretty much kind of done. I mean, I can go on and on, but I could probably teach an entire semester of intersectionality. But
I mean, you're going to be going into a master's program pretty soon, so you could.
Yeah, quite literally. No, so instead, where was I? Oh yeah, so instead of viewing oppression as leveled, the idea is to view it more as an intersection of various identities that operate on each other within systemic ideology. So
kind of like what I've talked about in the past, for example, about, being Native American, I'm lighter skinned. So in the South, most folks where Cirrus is probably would not recognize me for what I am, but I deal with a shitload of racism up here. And I also deal with erasure of my identity as a gender fluid / non-binary person. So those two things intersect, but in a different position. I could be in a better position than, say, somebody who is darker skinned.
Right. Well, you definitely are in a better position than someone who is darker skinned, depending on the social situation you're in.
Yeah, it depends on the space you occupy.
Yes. Although being Native American, it's really, like...
That makes it messy.
Like, the levels of fucked that natives face is, like, just... It's a whole other conversation.
So we have a question from the chat. On Fire, who contributed to Saturday's panel with their story about coming out, asks, any speculation on where the toxic branch of atheism came from, and do you think any of you think that it can be cut off? So it was directed at Surus, so I'll let him answer first, and then I'll open it up to the panel.
So, from what I've seen, a lot of the very toxic elements of atheism came from two things. The first one is that some atheists, this is a generalized thing, some atheists made their most popular content during their angry atheist phase. So the most exposure that people had was to the angry atheist, and when they as a concept. And then when they did their content, if they decided to make content after that, some of their most popular content was their angry atheist content, and then so on and so forth, to where you get this large exposure of just atheists being assholes. And then when you have a group of people being assholes, people from outside who are already viewed as the other start coming in and debating them and making them... If they start making them look bad, then you have more atheist assholes coming on to pile on. This is where you get your religion as a delusion type people, even though, like, literally, if they died and woke up tomorrow in an afterlife, suddenly they would fall under the classification of delusional, because the reality that they presupposed is not the reality they're in. Regardless of that material fact, they very much sit in this world of everybody who's not me must be wrong, everybody who's not me is delusional. But if you want a more material answer outside of the generalized, like, these are the patterns that we see, you can look at 2016 and 17, where you got a lot of your gamer-gators. When a lot of your atheist content creators also happen to be gamers of some variety, also happen to care about social issues in some variety, so you get people arguing about the culture war. When you get Gamergate to come in, you get a lot of content creators jumping on different sides of this Gamergate issue and then becoming more and more extreme on each side of the issue. Not so extreme so as to justify something like horseshoe theory, which in practice doesn't actually manifest the way that it is supposed to. But when you get these extreme sides fighting each other, you breed a lot of toxicity. Remember the previous answer of the delusional one.
Well, and there's actually been some evidence that, like the Cheeto-in-Chief may have been partially elected because places like Breitbart were sympathetic to Gamergate. So it's obvious that, that would also push people further right.
So the last part of it and why these things get so toxic is you get a lot of people who let's assume that epistemologically atheism is correct. There are no gods, etc. If we accept that for a second, we can say that, okay, a lot of people in the atheist community, when they got one answer right, and then proceeded to think that they would get every other answer right intuitively. This is where you get a lot of your toxicity where trans people are concerned, because intuitively, the statement, men are men, women are women, doesn't have any negative implications to it, but as Callan and Shake and both attest, that statement has some pretty toxic implications if said to one of them, because it tries to argue things like biological essentialism. These are all things that people in the atheist community for a long time accepted as intuitively correct and didn't research further, and then parroted those things on forums or on YouTube, and then their fans parroted them, and then, as usually happens, some fans become content creators and thus become megaphones for that kind of bigotry. Just because even if we assume you got the first answer right about God, doesn't mean all the other answers are right, and those answers can be just incredibly bigoted, especially if wrong. The atheist community suffers a lot from that.
We've got some discussion in the chat on Gamergate, and I want to open it up to the panel in a sec, but I just wanted to say, it may have been there before Runa, but the thing that Gamergate did was Gamergate created the alt-right funnel you see on YouTube, and it also created the alt-right funnel through places like Breitbart and The Hill and other far-right news outlets.
The concept of the intellectual dark web.
Yeah, the whole intellectual dark web was born because of the backlash to Gamergate. Gamergate started off, again, let's not rewrite history. Gamergate started off as basically a revenge porn fantasy for somebody who was spurned in the gaming industry. Like, that's just the way it was. It evolved and claimed to be something else. It put on a bunch of clothes about, ethics and games journalism and da-da-da, but that whole thing was spawned because he accused his girlfriend of sleeping with somebody for a good review.
And it was found that the particular Kotaku reviewer didn't actually have a hand in reviewing Zoe Quinn's game anyway. So, yeah.
So I have a little bit of a different perspective in terms of that. From the research that I've actually read, citing unorganized atheism, a lot of it actually comes from r/atheism, and the issue is basically there's this epistemic dogmatism that science is the only valid way of attaining any sort of knowledge.
Which is backwards, because science is not an epistemology. It's a methodology, and it doesn't get you closer to truth. It just cuts out things that are incorrect. That's what the scientific method does. That's like a really awkward warping of what epistemology is supposed to be. But if that research turns out to be the case, yeah, a misunderstanding like that would definitely lead people down some pretty shitty roads.
Those roads, by the way, tend to include a implied biological essentialism.
Yep, because
biology is the only thing that you can scientifically, quote-unquote, verify. And this also tends to lead to a more right-leaning disposition, because, let's put it that biology, because it's more intuitive, and it's more supports their sort of dogmatic worldview, which is verificationalism in the extreme. That's why you start getting people saying trans women are men, because, if it's otherwise, you have some sort of implication of something is not material, then that poses a threat to their dogmatism. It's up to science to verify anything. Anything that science can't verify does not exist.
Which is awkward.
So, Shay, do you...
Oh, sorry. Go on, Shay.
I was going to say, Shay, do you want to add anything? Because we've all been kind of talking, and you hadn't gotten a chance to speak.
Well, I honestly think, both Callan and Cirrus, kind of hit the fucking nail on the head. I don't think it's, either or. It's more of, a contributing factor type thing. What I would like to add, though, is that there was a huge, profit motive to, spreading this ideology as well. People started latching onto it, and then they saw their views grow. They started making a lot more money, and
well, I mean, Blair White came out not too long ago. It was kind of brushed over, but who was it? I'm trying to remember. One of the left tubers actually made a video about this about a year ago. Blair White came out and said that a bunch of her fellow right-wing YouTubers were actually fake. And it kind of got brushed over because she had said at the time that she was going to stop creating content on YouTube, and then kind of changed her mind and was like, yeah, by the way, I was full of crap. I'm sorry. But, this has happened several times. So, people didn't even challenge her on that.
Yeah, probably not. And even Mr. Atheist, wrong person. The Amazing Atheist has actually came out on Vosh's channel and said that he, part of the reason why he was so yikesy during, the Gamergate era was because of, that, profit motive, the grift.
You make a persona of yourself, and that persona is profitable, so you lean into that persona, and then that's a pretty standard thing that happens. Look at Dave Rubin, where Dave Rubin and Tim Pool both being the persona of this person is ostensibly on the left, and yet look at all these right-wing talking points they agree with. That must mean they are now de facto reasonable. You can lean into that persona and grift all kinds of loose change.
By the way, Cirrus, speaking of loose change, if you get super chats on your end, you're welcome to read them off on the show.
Are you sure you want me to do that?
Yes, you are. You are welcome to read them off. Just make sure you batch them in between discussion points, which we have a kind of lull. I'm getting angry fist shaking if I don't ask this question. So How many baby recipes do you guys have?
Oh, we share recipes all the time.
So all I'm gonna say is that do not broil too long, else you'll lose the delicate crunch of the bones.
A lot
of
of
a saute kind of gal.
Well, the thing is, Shay gets a lot of her babies from my sacrifices. Because, you know, I just throw them down the temple steps, and Shay just picks them up and then puts them into a box.
Okay, don't get too graphic, Callan. We've got people false flagging my channel, remember?
In Minecraft. There.
In Minecraft.
So, Cyrus, I'll give you a chance to read your super chats, and then we have another very serious question from the chat that, because we went so deep into the Gamergate thing, I hadn't gotten a chance to ask.
You Gamergate.
Agreed.
I've actually been doing a lot more research into Gamergate, like, just as it turns out, and the more...
I should send you some papers on it.
By all means, I will gladly take them, because right now, most of my research has been forum deep diving and going off of tangents from YouTube videos. Like, when it gets mentioned on something and I'm like, I need more context for that, and going into that. Like, that's been the extent, because if you do your research just by watching YouTube videos, you will probably end up making some very serious errors. Totally not speaking directly to any people who I may or may not have interacted with before. Jeebus. There's a reason that I say in videos, by the way, check the description. There's a bibliography. Please check it. Read.
You and I have a tendency to have just as long of bibliographies. Like, I had 15 citations in one of my videos.
The video when I did the gender debate has, I think, like 20 or 25 citations in the description. And, like, anytime somebody has that conversation with me from now on, I just link them the video and go, I don't want you to watch the video all the way through, but I do want you to read my description.
Yeah, because nobody clicks the doobly-doo. All right, so third time's the charm. Do you have any super chats you want to read before I go into the next question?
Absolutely. I'm just going to run through them all, like, hit really quick. From Levi Fangirl, $5, always willing to help, take care. Thank you for that. Amy Ballard, $2. Sorry, I cannot give more. Hope this helps. Every single dollar helps. Trust me. When you have a large enough audience, if everybody gives $1, you basically can go, okay, now I can make content for you guys without stopping, literally.
Hey, Cyrus.
Yeah?
Do you want an entire book on it?
Like PDF or mailing?
PDF.
I will gladly take it. Send it to me.
This one's called Haters, Harassment, Abuse, and Violence Online, and it uses Gamergate as an example.
Excellent.
Texting them online.
Callan, get control your ADHD for a minute.
No, this is useful. I got sent a blog that was, like, exclusively dedicated to trying to dunk on Rational Wiki and Gamergate and everything else, and, like, the methodology in the blog is so bad, but the more I can research, the more I can go, okay, time to dunk on the blog. Okay, continuing on. From Navardia, traditional $20 via PayPal because fuck you, YouTube. Thank you very much. That I also should probably say, if you have the option between Super Chat and using the PayPal link would work more, considering that we're trying to get the car fixed in the morning. And I won't see those Super Chats for a month. From Mr. Rickman, it's too hot to not have AC, but hell is hotter, so you better find Jesus. That was a donation of $666. If anybody didn't know, it was in jest. From Riley Smith, hey sirs, keep up the great videos. I'm glad you leaned into the leftist content as well. Hope y'all can fix your car. So what's funny is that, like, if you look at some of the earlier videos on my channel, the leftist content was always kind of there in the social, the social space that I occupied. But then just, like, I started doing more and more and more. And then suddenly there was all this bread on my table, and I have no idea how it happened.
Don't put the bread down, conquer it.
My bread must be gluten-free because I am celiac.
I'm actually reading I'm in the middle of reading the bread book right now because, like, there's only so many times you can see it cited in something that you just finally go, okay, I'm gonna pick up the bread book and read the damn thing. Oh, Jesus.
Allie, just so long as your bread has workers in it, it's good.
By the way, if you guys donate to the PayPal link, make sure you tag me with my username in my side chat and give me a statement to read, and I will read it off for you. Because I don't have super chats, so I don't have any way to get. You guys can only tag me to get my attention, and if I did, though, all of the money from this stream would go to Cirrus.
Hey, Cirrus.
Hi,
How does
Callan.
a book called Intersectionality and Digital Humanity sound?
It sounds digital humanity. That sounds like it's dealing strictly with people who exist on forums.
It does, doesn't it?
Okay, cool. Then send it my way. That sounds like the exact kind of research I'm trying to do.
So, you've got more, don't you?
Yes. We have a $20 super chat from Nathan Jasper. Love you, sirs. You've had a great impact on my life. I'm a new atheist, and it's comforting to find that there are other people who think like me. Get your car fixed. Thank you for that. From Ikakus, $4.99 was sent with no context, but that's fine because they've also sent a bunch of fan art before. So, like, I think all the context is in there. Becky Lynn with the $66.66. Mara's blessing upon you. Hope this helps. Thank you very much. Callan, you were saying something.
Yeah, here's a book. It's called Gaming Masculinity. Trolls, Fake Geeks...
Callan, why don't you just start sending all of these to his Discord instead of bringing them up on stream?
Well, sending them to my Discord's only going to go so far, but sending it to my Twitter, I check that more often.
This is true.
Hey, you checked your Discord because I message you on there all the time, but now I have you on WhatsApp.
Oh, God. No
lie, when I was in the car looking at my phone... because we had to get picked up, obviously, so I could actually look at my phone now. I wasn't doing this while driving. But when I looked at my phone and saw that there were 2 voice messages there, I was like, wait, who the hell sends me voicemail? Oh!
Because I still had your phone number from the debate, so I was like, oh, I could add you to WhatsApp, because, like, a certain, like, little bird told me that you were easier to get a hold of that way.
We have a $10 super chat from Charles McGee. Hi, sirs. Hope the car is fixed soon. I find your videos very informative. Oh, whoa. The best part about that entire thing was the oh, whoa. If there's not an oh, whoa at the end, I have to wonder about your actual motivations. And then we have $20 from Trickster. Sorry I couldn't send through PayPal, but I hope this helps anyway. Hey, perfectly fine. If you cannot send through PayPal, like my hierarchy is this. If you cannot send through PayPal, then super chat. But if you don't have money to do either, it is probably best if you do not support me in any way except sharing videos, because that would really make me feel like a really shitty person if somebody missed a payment on something at my behest. That would not be good.
Is that the end of your super chats, or do you have more?
That is the end of them until somebody decides that they want to say, hey, let's screw with Cirrus and donate $1 100 times. And then in individual chunks.
Here's another.
So here is the question, which is, if I may ask a question, what can folks like myself who are not LGBTQIA+ and do or not do that will actually help? What do you need us to know, say, and not say? That's a pretty broad question, but it appears to be specifically directed at Callan and Shay. And yes, I see all of the tags coming in. I'm keeping track of them, but I wanted to ask this question because I'd lose it otherwise.
Oh, wait, there was a question?
Goddamn, Callan.
Callan, are you okay? Do you need to put the bibliography of books down in order to to better participate in the stream?
Oh, that's right. We're on stream.
We are.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah. How you can be an ally. Just remember, trans women are women. Shouldn't really be that hard, to be honest. And don't be transphobic. That's a good one. It's one that many people seem to miss for some reason. Really annoying. Shay, you say something. I've been talking too much.
Listen to trans people. Don't just pick one trans person to listen to and then say that they speak up for the entire community. Like, noticed a lot of cis people doing that with people like Blair White.
They're just like, oh, we love Blair.
I see you call out there, Shay. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
No drama on Xenia Bridge. This is a bridge building show, not a bridge blowing up show. Come on, guys.
It never dawned on me how much of a problem this could be.
But tis.
listen to trans people, not trans person. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
What about napalming?
Well, and actually, I'm going to bring one, as a non-binary person, I'm going to bring one from our last interview or 2 interviews ago with Christy Abbey. If you're going to call trans people onto your show, don't just bring them on to talk about trans issues. Like, remember that trans people have other interests and expertise, too.
I know a thing or two.
Like, I call Callan on for, like, I call on Callan for, like, sociology stuff all the time, and also she helped me out with the heathen portion of my, Pride video, the Why is Pride a Sin?
I feel like you're attack dog, Callan. I mean, Aliakai.
Hey, tell me that you do not enjoy getting angry and going after people on Twitter. Tell me that you don't enjoy that.
If it's the right people, yeah.
I also helped Allie with her Greek.
Yes, Callan has been helping me study classical Greek. We actually worked this morning on declension because fuck me and my life. Real Cirrus may be coming to say hi.
Somebody in the chat also brought up like a really good point.
There he is.
Ask questions respectfully, like if you don't know something.
And always call for real Cirrus.
Right, always call for real Cirrus. Finally, Finally, we got the real thing and not that CGI representation. Like,
yeah, that fake Cirrus. I don't know who the CGI guy is for that, but damn.
I can't believe it's not Cirrus.
That matters.
So we've got a couple of reports of donos from my chat. So Cartoon Contrarian says, I donated through PayPal. I hope the demon in Cirrus's car is quickly expunged. Also, dry ramen for the win.
No! Absolutely not. No. Do not bring that meme back. That is a horrible... No. Bad.
Leia Bryant says, I donated $50 to Cirrus's car repair fund. Cirrus, please make a response video with Aaron to my local NIFB preacher, Grayson Fritz, and his vaccines in light of the Bible sermon.
Oh, Grayson? I haven't done a video on him in a while. That's actually a thing I need to do. Thank you for that.
He's so bad.
Frustrated Atheist, Aliakai, I gave money and I just want you to say, Cirrus, you need to start loving Russ more or you will have a sad Russ on your hands and no one wants that.
This sounds like he donated to an OnlyFans or something. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, he did have to pay to bring out the real Cirrus, to be honest. I think that should be your OnlyFans.
Real Cirrus comes out on commission.
Exactly. That's your OnlyFans, Cirrus, from now on.
I should make an OnlyFans where it's just like real Cirrus shames you.
Exactly.
Why did you do that? That was way too much peanut butter on that sandwich. Why would you do that? There was not enough jelly. You monster.
Yep, that is now your OnlyFans.
Say no to dry ramen.
Why would you... The salt can't even stick to the ramen. There's nothing to help it adhere to it except your disgusting spit. Why would you do that?
So Maddie Verity asks, what can we do with pagans? How do we deal with pagans that turn out to be TERFs?
The same way you do TERFs.
Yeet!
You send them my way, and then I take them up a very nice pyramid.
In all legitimacy, though, it's the same thing we tend to do with Folkists, which is we attempt to educate them, and if that doesn't work, then they can take a long walk up a short pier or a very long hike up Callan's pyramid.
Cirrus, are you okay there?
I think Cirrus like fell or something.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Know. Oh nope, we're back.
It's been me here the whole time. I'm not gaslighting the whole stream or anything.
Wait, why is fake Cirrus back?
The better question is, why are there 2 Cirruses on stream now?
There we go.
So we have another...
Together.
We have another question. This one's from a Hellenist, so I'm going to take first crack at this one. As a trans woman who converted from atheism to Hellenism and does political activism, I've noticed activists around me are uncomfortable when they find out I'm pagan. How can I handle that? So there's kind of 2 sides to this. The first is by living outwardly as a pagan and talking about your beliefs in a respectful way with people. And by that, I mean, if they're assholes to you, you get absolutely every right to be an asshole back. But by being more open about it, you can help normalize your paganness, which is something that I've found in my area. I had a lot of shock and awe and, problems when I first came out as pagan to the people around me, and now people are just so used to it, and they're like, oh, well, you just believe different things, and you do stuff in your, temple room, once a day. Okay, that's what that means. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is that as more of us are out and open, you know, with paganism, and as people like Ocean and I and Celery's Garden and, you know, like pretty soon Oriax and What the Craft are making more videos and other content, when people have questions, you'll have the ability to send those things out to people so that they can kind of get a better idea of how actually normal people are.
I'm normal. Sometimes.
What's normal anyway?
Also, hello to Raz in the chat.
Oh yeah, normalizing paganism. Yep, just be unrepentant, to be honest. That tends to work. At least I found that. I mean,
Yeah.
heck, over half of atheist Twitter has blocked me, so I must be doing something right?
So the to answer the question from let's see, it was Cartoon Contrarian. There it is. What is the word to which I compared TERFs? Folkists. So Ocean and I are currently working on a someday collaborative back-to-back where we talk about the entire spectrum of folkism. But over on Cirrus's channel, there's a bit where we talked about the YSCE and what makes them folkist, where we give the definition for it. We've decided that in order to define a term that vague, we came up with a fairly long definition. Folkism is the belief that perceived or actual ancestral ties privileges the adherent in some way in a particular tradition, whether that means that they are privileged as in they can get closer to the gods, or they're the only ones who can worship the gods. So the snarky version is, there are people who believe your 23andMe affects what gods you can worship.
Wait, I can simplify that definition. It's simply, you can just simply use ethnic privileging for that definition.
Yeah, but the problem is we had to go into more detail because heathen folkists like to try to, you know, find any way that they can squeeze out of that. And also so does the YSCE, because the YSCE is like, well, we don't think that it's, like, we don't think we get a closer relationship with the gods. We just think that we get to decide who's Hellenized. Right, so there's
That's what I'm saying, is that...
Okay, look, Callan, I'm telling you, the original definition was just ethnic privileging. There was so much pushback that we had to expand it.
Like...
We got feedback from, like, 15 different pagans.
I mean, okay. But just simply say it's when one ethnically privileges a particular ethnicity over other ethnicities of a particular tradition.
So, coming back to the original topic at hand, On Fire actually made the comment, you know, I don't necessarily want people to white knight all the time. It's situational. So, do you guys want to comment on that as far as allyship?
So, for me, white knighting is when someone is defending you, when like, you can defend yourself, but the thing is that you have to be careful not to mistake that for just cis people a cis person trying to have a conversation with someone else that you don't need to have that conversation with. Like, I shouldn't have to be justifying my identity continuously, and I'd much rather have cis allies deal with that than me having to constantly... Because justifying your identity gets really tiring after a time.
Yeah, a little bit.
And there are moments where I'm just like, you know, fuck all cis people, I'm disconnected.
I've had to deal with that a lot more in real life than I have online, though.
Yeah, online, especially because we have profiles we can hide behind, it's a lot easier. Yeah. But
I mean,
yeah,
I don't exactly hide it anymore, so.
No, you're the cam girl. You can't hide. In fact,
also, Tony, that made me crack up, so I have to post it.
That's a classic meme.
Also, for my Discord gang, can we get a show of hearts in the chat for Dana? Dana came home from work and immediately came in and gave me the best brownie ever. Like, it is freaking amazing. He can get these gluten-free brownies at his work, and he was just like, here, have one of these, because, like, you've had a rough day. Because he's amazing.
Gluten-free brownies just sounds like suffering from another name. But then again, I've also found that, like, a lot of keto and gluten-free recipes just don't sit well with me for some reason.
Well, keto recipes are almost always shit, but the gluten-free recipes that I've had... when they're not keto and you can actually use, like, decent flours and stuff, I've gotten very good at gluten-free baking, up to the point where most of my friends can't really tell the difference. You just kind of have to know what you're doing.
I made chicken tenders. I made chicken tenders with.
I know, that's why Ocean goes to your house.
Well, yes, that. Apparently,
tendies.
he goes over to my house for the tendies alone. The friendship is secondary. Come with the friendship, stay for the cooking. But no, I tried to make tenders with coconut flour, and there was a coconut and almond flour mixed together because I heard that like one is really bad and get spongy, and the other one is really like grainy. So I said, you know what, I'll just combine these two, and it should fix the problems. Because that's normally what I do when I cook. I'm just like, canola oil has a really bad smoking point. Add some vegetable oil to fix that problem. Turns out all of those flours are crap with tenders, and no amount of science will fix that.
Yeah, the best flour that I found for tenders actually is you have to let it sit for a bit, but chickpea flour.
I haven't actually had
I
haven't used chickpea flour for anything yet. It's not even available at my local store. Weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Chickpea flour, if you can get your hands on it, mix chickpea flour and sorghum flour together, like a 50/50 ratio, and add a little bit of xanthan gum and some baking powder, and let it sit for a little bit so it gets thick before you dip them. That's the best breading that I found. You can also dip them in breadcrumbs afterwards.
Alec, you're forgetting something, though. Cirrus grounds his own corn with a windmill he has on his property.
Yeah, we all know that Cirrus is a homesteader, but you guys forget that I basically do the same thing. I grow approximately 1/2 to 2/3 of the food that I eat every year. Like, I have shown Cirrus my hauls before.
Like, so
your gardening's amazing. I'm jealous.
Our garden, half the things we planted didn't actually like pan out the way we wanted them to. Unfortunately, like all the okra we planted, one stem poked out of our ground, a singular stem. 2 of our tomato plants got trampled on accident during a lot of the fixing yard stuff, so they're starting over anew. Same thing happened with our raspberry and blackberry bushes. The only thing that seems to have actually decided that it wants to be edible has been our potatoes right now. Everything else has had some varying level of misfortune.
So we have a question from the chat. I'm not really sure what the question is, so please try to give me a little more detail. But I am atheist, gender fluid in the Bible Belt. Help.
So yeah, that I would recommend you contact Shay with further details about that, and it's also Christy Abbey, and we'll see what help we can give you.
Yeah, Christy Abbey is good people and is more than willing to help discuss those sorts of options, and Shay has been involved with that sort of activist work as well.
Yeah.
I haven't.
You said that you have.
No. I've never been involved in, like, relocating people.
Well,
no, the only one here who's done that, I think, is me.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, the activist work that I do in real life involves like community farms and like feeding the homeless, mostly. Food Not Bombs is great.
So I've got a question from Cirrus's Discord, weirdly enough. Are the Folkists, I can't spell anywhere, are those the same people who say worshipping anything other than the gods of your race is cultural appropriation? Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, that's those people.
Yeah, there's a, so I will say only because I happen to have a person who is close to me who I'm trying to pull out of the AFA, because I found out that a childhood friend of mine was actually that was a smack to the face.
Sir, why do you talk to
so the last person who I put up, Jeremiah Schmidt, there is your contact info for Christy Abbey if you need to kind of talk out what your options might be.
Sir, why do you keep reconnecting with people from high school? It never.
So here's the thing, though, is that it's not a person I reconnected with from high school. It's a friend I've maintained contact with since I was 13 years old. So like that was one of those like it was a conversation we never had, and then suddenly we had it, and then suddenly things got really awkward, and then I had to literally go, allow me to point out all of the racist propaganda coming from your organization and why it is that. It's gonna be a process. It's gonna be a process.
Yeah, it's always difficult pulling people out of focused organizations because they love to use their guilt trips and manipulation tactics.
Not only that, the way they do their rhetoric is like, if you study alt-right rhetoric, you can it's instantaneous. You see a dog whistle and you're like, there it is. But then they look at it and they're just like, what are you talking about? All they did was say, you know, we need to birth more children and secure an existence for our people. What's wrong with that?
Christianity is the expansionist arm of Judaism when geography could no longer contain it. Just saying. That's from the YSEE theology book, by the way, and was one of the biggest red flags to their organization.
Which when you consider the fact that basically means that all Christians can be grouped in as colonizing Jews trying to take over the world, now they get to otherize literally the rest of the population except themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Isn't racist rhetoric fun, guys? Isn't it great?
Actually, frustrated atheist, you need more babies for my pyramid.
God damn it, Callan.
So, let's take a quick pause for shilling for 2 seconds. We got 58% shilling in my chat and only 46 likes, so there are 12 of you that I'm currently staring at in judgment. You can't see it because I'm currently not in my office and the background that behind me is terrible, but I am. Cirrus, do you have any more super chats?
I do have one, but I also do have a suggestion for you, Kai. I think I know how to solve this problem very well for you. Get one of those, the Adobe Character Animator. There's a plugin with it that will function with your webcam, where you can put an avatar in there like a puppet. So if you want to like stare at somebody horribly, no matter what's in your background, all they'll see is your avatar judging them.
For right now, my avatar must just imaginarily judge you. That said, this is a reminder. If any of you have not posted something in my side chat and you have donated to the link or are thinking about donating to the link, tag me, let me know that you donated, and I will read it off as though it were a super chat. Because again, this is all for Cirrus. Like, we're trying to help him out a little bit. That's why he's here as my co-host today. That and Jen was feeling 6.
It was feeling 6. I didn't realize she did age regression. That's cool. That's fine. No. So I will say this. One, we actually reached the $1,000 repair goal, so anything past this point will effectively be bill money or potential cushion just in case the repairs are more than I think, because the thing I'm really concerned about is the wiring and the radiator. If there are holes, that's an issue. But elsewise, we did actually hit our goal, so that is amazing. Thank you all for that. Secondly, Aliakai, to be fair, my sleep schedule would have forced me to go to sleep about 2 hours ago, but I had to take an impromptu nap in order to have enough energy to do this. So that's also the reason I can be here. I manipulated my melatonin, and now I'm here.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are all freaking amazing. Thank you to everybody in my audience that decided to help out, and thank you to everybody in Cirrus's audience that also helped out. Like, you guys are fucking awesome. So we do have a person who donated that popped up in my chat as soon as it actually like shows up, because it takes a half a sec. Elizabeth Rosalind Bain, I donated, and I wanted to say, Cirrus helped me out of the alt-right.
Oh, really? That is... I'm actually really happy about that. I like feeling like I actually had a positive impact on somebody's life.
It's like the same feeling I get when people say they look up to me or I help them come to terms with being trans. I'm just like, what? I did?
I mean, to be fair, like
me?
a good 60% of my trans positive rhetoric comes from research that you have sent me. So, I mean...
Oh. Well...
All right. So we have a question from the chat, but I want to give Cirrus a chance to read a super chat.
Wait, it's almost like I do stuff. What?
You do stuff and things. The one super chat we do have is from Jake4D, and it's no comment, just a PayPal donation mirror. Hey, I can't complain. I can't say anything about that. Also, I have now completely my brain was like, I know there's a graphics card I have somewhere that Jake sent me, and I don't remember which one it is now. But I remember which one it is now, and I know what machine it's in. Because fun fact, a friend of mine brought over a machine for me to upgrade with our older parts now that we've upgraded my PC for better streaming, and then I broke his PC, so I had to just hand him an older one.
Hey, this is just a reminder to everybody in my chat. Nobody is judging you if you cannot donate. Like, nobody is judging you if you can't. Like, everybody is strapped for cash. Everyone is. Like, everybody is currently squeezed. The economy sucks at the moment. Coronavirus took away all that was good in the world. Like, just...
Cash. I'm confused. Is cash like a thing you're supposed to have?
Sometimes, apparently, a few of us.
What? No, that sounds like magic.
This seems to mostly be directed at Callan, but Cirrus might have some info as well. Does anyone have any suggestion for literature or documents on gender expression and sexuality among white Americans in the 17 and 1800s?
Oh, fuck. That is really specific.
At least it's
I mean, the answer might be I need to dig and get back to me on Twitter. Like, I don't know.
The answer is I know there's stuff out there. But all these sources I know aren't online. Like, they're in sociology classrooms.
The sources that I know that talk about that period are also more generalized. And just, like, that period of time, amongst others, are, like, a footnote. Like, the Candace Wallace literature that I have, that Callan sent me, because of course, is basically just talks about stuff in America just as a footnote.
So, On Fire, I actually have a friend who writes LGBT westerns, specifically, like, one of their main characters is trans. I'm going to talk to them and see if I can find any info on the historical sources that they used for the research for that. Because one of my buddies in the writing community, who doesn't really participate in YouTube all that much, but they came out as non-binary fairly recently, and they've got lots and lots of resources on that probably. So I'll see if I can dig some stuff up for you too. So Christy Abbey, by the way, says, Callan, if you read this, you help me stand up for my trans identity.
I did. What? No. What? I'm so confused.
That's awesome, Christy.
Also, apparently, we have drowned What the Craft in bread.
Yeah, I know.
It feels good when you break through the Overton window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the right side, anyway.
No, you mean
Not
on the left
right
side.
Yeah, on the left side, but the left side is the...
No, I broke through the Overton window on the right side thanks to the progress of the intellectual dark web. Now I understand everything. The Illuminati is behind it all.
I misspoke.
Globalists are everywhere.
The correct side, okay?
Just remember, trans people are formed. Here's a fact. Trans people are formed by this very special frog called Alexius Jonesus.
Okay, so we have another question from Cirrus's Discord. What are your thoughts on the issue of cultural appropriation, like using sage and stuff? Like, you can't choose your beliefs, so how is that cultural appropriation? So, hi, I'm Native American. I'm about to tell you what the problem with that shit is. So, the issue with using sage in ceremony is, number one, those are still living cultures. They're not dead cultures that are being reconstructed. So, like, the use of that outside of sacred ceremonies and pulled out of sacred context is a huge ass issue in and of itself. You can believe in purification without having to use white sage, right? Like, you can believe that, smoke is purifying and use other types of incense. Also, white sage in particular has been so freaking over-harvested by wildcrafters who don't know what the fuck they're doing that it's basically going extinct in a lot of areas. So the actual Native American tribes that these practices, which are mostly like central kind of Native American tribes, they're unable to even get it in the proper amounts.
Yeah.
So, like, it is a whole ass issue, and I'll be talking about it actually in the Folkism video. But the answer is you can't choose the belief that purification is necessary, but you can choose what you do to purify it. And you can also choose to learn directly from sources that are in culture rather than buying some book that was written by a white person off of whatever local shelf you happen to have.
I'm also not fully convinced that you can't, like, choose what to do with beliefs because, like...
Well, you can't necessarily choose what you believe, but you can choose what you do with those beliefs.
Like, in terms of, like, purification and whatnot, there are just so many rituals out there that don't involve that don't involve white sage for purifying your house. Like, even just taking a bit of salt and just sprinkling it around your house that's a Wiccan way to do purification if you need to.
Is it strange that I actually knew a younger... There was a person I was dating who their mother was a young Earth creationist, also believed in ancient aliens, and also used Wiccan rituals as purification, as if cognitive dissonance was the flavor that they just loved as a lollipop.
So the question about other kinds of sage and smudge sticks. So the answer is know why you're doing it and treat it with the level of cultural respect that it deserves. So other types of sage other than white sage, like say cooking sage, if you grew sage on your back porch, like purple sage or something, and you turned it into a smudge stick, dried it out, everything yourself, nobody's going to judge you for that. But within the Native American context, smudging is an entire ceremony that requires a very specific mindset, and it's got a sacred feel to it, something that you can't necessarily get by reading a little info card that's attached to a sage bundle that you bought at your local store. So if you're going to do those sorts of purification rituals, just know both what culture it came from and try to do some research on primary sources from that culture in order to understand what the context is of that ritual.
Right, so the best thing that you can do, and because there is a difference between actually respecting and practicing a culture versus appropriating it, is you can help get natives the white sage for them and their own ceremonies and various things of that nature, ethically, and listen to Native American voices. That is like the best advice I can give.
And yeah, like that, it really does, Bragwin. But I hope that answered your question. So another thing is, I heard that crystal use is cultural appropriation. That depends on the crystal use. A lot of the crystal lore comes from, for lack of a better way to put it, condensed sources, meaning a bunch of people stuck a bunch of different cultures together and ripped everything out of cultural context. So like if you buy, say, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Crystals, Gems, and Metals and things like that, speaking from my ex days as a Wiccan, like those things have been ripped so far out of cultural context so you don't even know what you're appropriating. But the one thing I'll say about crystals, which there's about to be angry ranting in the chat from What the Craft, I can already see the chat slowly being set on fire or stuffed into a jar. I'm not sure which at this point. Like the big thing with that is that, number one, there are some crystals that are sacred to some tribes, so do some research on that. Number two, don't use crystals as a substitution for medical help. Don't use crystals as a substitution for therapy. Do not use crystals as a substitution for literally anything in the secular world that you can get for help. Just don't. It's woo. Same with herbs. Like, herbs you can use for medication, but it's a complement to Western care, not a substitute.
That's one of the things that So one of the pagan friends that I grew up with, I don't want to name because I don't want to dox, but one of the pagan friends that I actually grew up with, their mom basically like hammered that point home constantly because she had a stockpile of medicinal herbs and would always say, okay, go see the doctor first, like do that, but if you still need help past that point, then by all means do this. But if you use this instead of traditional medicine, then you might die.
Yeah, the Freya, the answer to that is that growing up, the word tribe was always used. Some people use nations, some people use tribes, just like some people use native, some people use indigenous, and some people use Indian. Like, it depends on the person you're talking to.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to use nations, but that's also because I've been doing a lot of Native American research. Not Native, oh my god, Mesoamerican research. And the Aztecs were very much what you could consider to be a nation or a confederacy and whatnot. I understand that there are some tribes where that definition seems a little off, but I still think for all practical purposes, they are First Nations within the context of the rights they deserve and whatnot.
Well, and part of the reason that I tend to use tribe to describe mine is because of the fact that my tribe is actually, like, the tribal council is combined with the Tlingit tribe. And so because of that, I talk about the Haida tribe, and there's the Haida Tlingit nation. So they're two different things.
Also, if I do use tribe, I will use tribe to also refer to various heathen things as well. So I don't view tribe as a negative necessarily.
Yeah, neither do I.
I find that tribalism as a negative is actually a more European position than it is an actual native position.
So, anyway, we got way the fuck off topic because we got a lot of pagan questions and stuff. So, getting kind of back to the stream, we're almost up to an hour and a half, which means we're getting pretty close to when we usually start to close out. On the pagan side, I'll ask Callan first and then Shay, what do you think that pagans can do to have a more welcoming, a more welcoming, accepting role for, say, atheists who want to work with us? What can we do to be more open to that within our community?
To be honest, a lot of pagans are actually very open, and really, a lot of the hostility comes from the atheist side, I tend to find.
As an atheist, I can
agree with that. For those pagans who are closed-minded, I guess what I can say is try to be a little more open-minded and a little bit more flexible. But other than that, granted, my perspective might be a little biased if you look at my Twitter. But
Callan's Twitter is the dumpster fire of anti-theism. They find her even when she's not being inflammatory for the sake of it.
I think what I've seen a lot of people do in engaging with Callan, and it's always funny when this happens because I see it pretty frequently, and Callan verifies this is correct. But 9 times out of 10, they approach you with this idea that because you're a theist, you must be a dogmatic Abrahamic.
Yeah.
And they handle you with the love and care they would a dogmatic Abrahamic. Which doesn't work very well.
Yeah, that tends to really backfire on the atheists.
It's like when somebody accuses you of being a liberal, and you're just like, not that one, not that one.
Farther.
You're a liberal. It's farther.
Enhance.
You can do it. Move.
Enhance.
So Shay, what would you say on the pagan side we can do to be more welcoming to potential atheist allies?
I don't necessarily see a lot of toxicity towards atheists that are the good types. They're usually pretty welcoming. I would guess the same thing that I would tell atheists, honestly, and that's there's more to life than just the God question. Find some common ground with people and build friendships.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Cirrus, your turn for the atheist side of the question.
Repeat the question because my memory is absolute garbage.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, I'm the goldfish of the stream.
The question was, what do you think that the atheist side of the community can do to be more welcoming to pagan allyship?
So, there's a couple things that I would say. One, leave the edgy part of atheism aside. I'm sure that part is fun for a lot of people, but you can do a lot more with atheism besides your Dawkins and Hitchens methodology. That I know a lot of people who were either inspired by atheist YouTubers or inspired by Dawkins and Hitchens with their less than subtle approaches. There's more that you can do and to be positive. The other thing, maybe this is less an atheistic response and more a pragmatic response, but figure out what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish when you're having the conversation with somebody about belief? Do you think that all belief axiomatically, if it's in a God, leads to negative consequences? And if so, why? Ask yourself why that is. Why do you think belief leads that way in all cases? And then try to figure out, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be intellectually superior to people? Are you trying to actually create a better material world? What are you trying to do? And if the answer is the more useful answer, which is trying to make a better world, you may find that just not having that conversation about belief, when that belief does not automatically lead to bigotry or oppression, might be the better tact. Just understand that, hey, especially a pagan has probably dealt with the same level of oppression you have, because they're seen in the exact same light as you are as an atheist, especially here in the South.
If not worse, because as Ocean pointed out in his latest video, like, atheists might, they're the wayward children. You might be able to still save them. We're the demon worshippers, remember?
Correct.
Sir,
yeah.
If you have one illogical fallacy in your head, that automatically means you accept every logical fallacy.
Yes, everybody is Ken Ham. You're correct. No, but
no, Shay. To clarify, by the way, Shay, I did ask you the pagan version because I ask every guest both the pagan and atheist versions of that question.
Okay.
So,
I apologize.
I guess the final thing is here, just what is your goal when you're interacting with a person? If your goal is to make the world a better place, you're probably going to be able to do that better together than you're going to be able to do as an individual. Your footprint in the world is much smaller as an individual than this literally just became an apologetic for labor unions. I'm so sorry. But fact of the matter is, you want to make the world a better place, you can do it better with people. Figure out what common ground you have with those people, and if you have disagreements with them, make sure that they're material disagreements that actually have a purpose. Because if it's just, you believe in a god and I don't, but there's nothing that is entailed by that's a disagreement that you guys have on the same level of liking peanut butter and jelly or not. Like, it's not a substantial enough disagreement for you two to fight over. If that belief somehow leads into a negative space, like we see with a lot of the Abrahamics.
You like PB and J? No, fuck.
I'm poor. Of course I like PB and J.
No, fuck off. That is not a sandwich. No, I'm kidding.
Actually,
right,
Callan,
actually
I think you'll find that not
No,
only is PB and J a sandwich.
No. Cyrus, put the sandwich away. Put the sandwich away.
Callan, may I introduce you to sandwich absurdism?
Okay, so
No,
Cyrus, you need to go down to my Discord and get into this fight in effing sandwiches. There are rules. I created that channel because of you. All right, so Shay, because you haven't gotten to talk all that much, you are next. What do you think that the atheist community can do to open themselves up more and be to both allyship and to be better allies?
Kind of like what I was saying earlier. It's basically the same thing. Like, realize that there's more to life than the fucking God question. Find some common ground. Make some friendships.
So
don't be a dick to people just because they believe a little bit different than you. Like, I don't know. That's really it.
For those of you who are unfamiliar, by the way, sandwich epistemology is Cyrus's version of Memory Land. Just saying, it's the place that I stop him from going if he goes too far down the rabbit hole.
And it's the same. Well, that's the thing that Ocean has to do with leftism with me too. Ocean has to say, "Put down the bread, Cyrus."
Except that again, we are all just drowning in bread. We are currently in the bakery. There is nothing but bread.
No, Allie, I don't drown in bread. I am the bread.
So, new server lore for both of you. Callan is the bread that Cyrus was hugging in the last stream. Just saying.
I thought Callan was a lobster.
No, Callan is now the bread, apparently. Callan is a lobster bread snake.
Allie, you're missing
can
the
confirm.
Trinity. It's like the Trinity. I am the lobster and I am the bread at the same time.
Okay, I was about to say,
And
if you were those at different times, though, I'd say that that sounds like modalism, which is heresy. But actually, fun story. Just because the lobster thing, because that's a meme from when me and Callan did our video together.
Yes, I still have the fan art from that because we showed it off in our next video.
So that meme now has some even weirder implications. Callan, would you like to know what I discovered about 2 weeks ago? Guess who is incredibly allergic to lobster?
Oh no!
Oh no! Cyrus is now allergic to Callan.
I found out because we went to a restaurant and it was mentioned that I've never had lobster because that it's like with steak. I don't get to have it that often because that would require money. So it's like, okay, we'll splurge this one time. I'll try lobster out. I'll see if I like it. Took a few bites of it. This is really good. And then after about a minute, My mouth really itches. My throat feels strange. Oh no. Oh dear.
So, Cyrus, I think the most ironic part of that, though, is that I'm actually allergic to lobster, too.
Sweet.
I'm allergic to shellfish.
So
sorry
one
for
would
you
say
guys.
that
Lobster's
Callan is
so
allergic to herself.
Exactly, yes.
You lick yourself,
No,
you're just
I'm
like...
allergic to one of myself.
Callan's a snake. How is she allergic to herself?
Because I am the trinity of the snake, the lobster, and the bread.
So wait,
Okay.
Does this mean that if Callan wants to punch somebody, but her fist isn't big enough, she just, like, cuts her knuckles real quick and puts them in lobster bisque so that her hand swells, and then just goes, okay, now that I've made my hand into the giant punching glove.
Exactly, yes. That is exactly how it works.
Okay, Triatael, as far as the stream being weird, what do you expect when Cirrus and I and Callan and Shay are all in a room together? Like, again, this is another group of friends who never get to hang out all in the same place. Of course weird is going to happen. Did you not watch what happened when Cirrus had me on for his, like, Twitch stream when he was doing the 24-hour stream thing? Insanity always occurs when we're in the room together.
What's normal anyway?
What I've learned is that when we tried to do the 24-hour stream, none of our machines were equipped for a 24-hour stream, and I did not know that. But by about hour 8, when the machine is going, hey, you skipped 84% of your frames on a game that you can definitely run perfectly fine elsewise, I'm like, that's how outdated these are. Okay, I guess. Okay, everything's broken.
This is what, like, you guys don't even understand. Cirrus and I talk regularly, and this is basically just how we talk to each other. There's no such thing as a topic. There is something that we planned on maybe talking about at some point, and it doesn't happen until the end after we've fucked off into every single direction we could possibly go. This is just how how these conversations go.
Oh, Allie, I just saw that I have this paper on American power structure by C. Wright Mills.
Oh, God.
Can we talk about the military-industrial complex? Sorry, what?
You know, honestly, that this is true. If you get League, Cirrus is much more likely to hang out with you, because he'll see you on League and be like, let's do the play.
See, what's funny is that, like, there's people that are less friendly in, like, or not less friendly, but that, like, fight each other in the community, and then just, like, I play League with them, and I'm just like, this is fine.
So, we were trying to wrap up, and now we're 10 minutes in. This is why I started early. As far as, like, basic shill stuff, if you guys are chilling in Cirrus's chat over on his channel, and you'd like to know more about the work that I do here, normally Xenia Bridge is actually co-hosted with Jen Aldrich, hence the little icon up in the corner there, if you can see it over Cirrus's portrait. She and I do primarily work bringing the atheist and polytheist communities together with allyships.
I think Cyrus just noticed it, as it turns out.
So that's the show that we do every week. It's always at 10:30 EST, 7:30 PST, depending on which side of the country you're on. Do the math if you're somewhere in the middle. I also do weekly releases on Thursdays at 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST. Everything from, Duncan on Christians, which the last one definitely was, to historical deep dives into various topics, to different things about Hellenism. So if you guys enjoy that, come check out my channel. I'm pretty sure that if Cirrus did his job, it's in the description somewhere. If not, then just look up my name. It'll be one of the first ones up there.
It was at this moment that I realized that in my half dash attempt, did I put it in? Did I put it in here? Oh, please don't tell me I didn't put it in. I hate myself. I'm also the annoyance that somehow managed to do a proper moderation of the Moreno debate. So, like, if you guys remember me there, that was me. I was the person who said you do not want me involved when people were like, you can have a conversation about, whether or not you can actually control PTSD attacks. You do not want me to talk about that subject. Not with the position you just put forward.
Giving me messenger reveals flashbacks over here.
Oh, and by the way, I am Allie's bane. So if you ever want to annoy Allie, just contact me. No lie, I did a dive into the comment section of Michael's version of that debate. There are 3 opinions in that debate. 1, saying you have PTSD is cringe.
2, Cirrus is fat. 3, wow, this debate was actually very civil.
Yeah, like having a structured debate was a good thing. Though, if you guys do decide to do that other debate that we had talked about, we'll probably do it as a free-form discussion with me stepping in like I did on the old channel that must not be named to just be like, hey, y'all, break it up. You get to talk first, you get to talk second. Which I had to do a couple of times, but you guys did a pretty good job. So, also, for those of you who are in either chat, check out Transgarder. They do really, really good work. They stream almost every week. They are freaking amazing. Link is definitely in the description of my video. And like, they're very good friends of mine. Both of them are actually on my mod and admin team over in the Discord. So you guys should already be familiar with them because you've probably, if you've gotten in trouble, then you've talked to one of them.
Can I say something right quick?
Except you probably haven't talked with me because I banned you.
Of course, Jay.
So when we were talking about the channel earlier, I only got to mention the interview aspect to it. We also do like response, like React Andy style content. Our next target is actually Blair White, so you definitely want to be on the lookout for that one. Might not happen till next week because unfortunately I'm very busy with work.
Growlith isn't here.
And then Callan and I also live in like 2 different sides of the country, so we're like 3 hours apart. Makes scheduling pretty difficult.
Lies and blasphemy, Anna.
Keep your eye out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Also, I'm glad that Cirrus finally brought on the real star of the show, Growlith.
Aw, cute little pupper.
So,
I don't know why Cirrus didn't have him on from the beginning, to be honest.
Other big announcements for on my channel. On the 19th, I'm actually going to be on The Fluid Voice doing an interview with Christy Abbey and the crew. On the 17th, I'm going to be on Atheist Wind Down with Jen talking about the work that we do here on the show, assuming that she's feeling better by then. And on Thursday, if y'all liked the J.K. Rowling collab, which if you haven't seen it, if you go to my channel, there is a playlist called The Atheist-polytheist. It's in that playlist. It's a 1 hour long collab in which Raz from Creepy Eevees and Aaron from Aaron's Chair are both in and took part, as well as Transgarder, Christy Abbey, and Jen, and Susan from Divine Disbelief. I'm pretty sure that's everybody. Yes. And myself, of course. But we did an hour-long collab debunking the TERF Manifesto letter that J.K. Rowling put out. There is going to be a sequel to that where I go into the ways in which the letter that she signed was actually not written by her. It was written by a committee of other people, primarily by one particular author, and the way that it manipulates you on the level of propaganda. So I'm not just debunking the claims in it, though I do a bit of that. I'm actually going into the manipulative ways the language fucks with the brains of centrists, and how language like that can manipulate somebody into agreeing emotionally before they've had a chance to actually analyze what's being said. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, and I know that a lot of folks over on Cirrus' side are, I do lefty polytheist content, and as an author, I have a few things to say about that letter, and that video is coming out on Thursday night. Also, next Monday, next week, Jen and I are having Neil the 604 Atheist on, and we are super excited about that. So if you guys are a fan of his, you should definitely show up. He is one of the other stunning examples of allyship. He's done deconversion and reconversion stories, and I'm going to be on his channel over in August. So if you guys are interested in that interview, I would love to see you here. Cirrus, you got anything coming up on your channel?
So, I actually have notes on this.
Cirrus came prepared for something?
I know, right? It's weird. It's almost like it's my job or something. So I have actually 2 Dangers of Woo episodes that are in production right now.
That's exciting. That's the series that got me into your channel.
I haven't been able to do any of them lately because when I wasn't doing atheist content, it was, okay, now we're talking about the politic because everything outside my house is on fire. But no, I've got 2 Dangers of Woo episodes. One is called Bergman's Blunder. If you are familiar with the chiropractor Dr. Bergman, he is one of the types of people that thinks that chiropractic can like fix things like cancer. So I'm going to be doing his is probably going to be a series.
There's fucking data to say that like chiropractic doesn't even work for back trouble. Like,
well, the thing with chiropractic, it is good for 2 things and 2 things alone. One is temporary pain management. Because if you feel better after a chiropractic exam, then literally it is doing temporary pain management. The other thing is if you have a pinched nerve, it can help free up a nerve, which, granted, a masseuse can do the exact same thing. But point is, those are like the two things that it can help with. The other Dangerous Woo episode I have that is in the works right now is one on the tapeworm diet.
Oh, no.
Because I figured that if I have enough people who are going to just comment in my comment section, Sarah's is fat, well, I might as well go ahead and pretend like I also am 12 years old and take them to fucking school.
So we have, whoops, I accidentally clicked the wrong one. So Illuminati is one of my favorite YouTubers in terms of debunking, like, especially anti-MLM stuff, but the anti-woo is really good. So, but yeah, Cirrus's Dangers of Woo is actually the way that I got into Cirrus's content, because I had been watching stuff about, I want to say it was the Jilly Juice stuff. Like, I had been watching things on that, and then somehow the algorithm got it in its head that it's like, oh, you like all of the debunk everything, and Cirrus's channel came up with the Dangers of Woo series, and after I binged that, I ended up watching a bunch of his content before we met.
The Jeff Holiday stuff on fucking Jilly Juice is great.
Jeff's a good person. I like Jeff.
So, so with all of the announcements and everything out of the way, thank you guys so much for coming on. Do either of you have any more announcements that you want to put forward about, like, stuff you're doing or, you know, things you're doing on your channel?
Wait, I have something. Cirrus, the only valid sandwich is cookie cake.
So I think you'll find that cookie cake is actually a sound sandwich. All sandwiches are valid because if all of the premises of sandwich theory are true, then the conclusion must be true. Which,
okay, guys,
which by
so we can
entailment
feed...
actually makes all valid sandwiches also sound.
We can feed peanut butter into the combustion engine later, Cirrus. Like, speaking
Callan
of
is the one who opened the jar.
So speaking of the after show, there's no guarantee ever that all of my guests will be there, but there will be an after show in the Discord. So if you're on my video, go check out the link in the description to the Discord. Make sure you read the rules, because again, my Discord is modeled very similar to Cirrus's. If you break the rules, you get locked up once. Maybe if it's a slur, you're going to get banned. So I'm definitely going to be there. I'm pretty sure that Callan or Shay will be there. They both tend to show up for my after shows, whether they're guests or not. Cirrus, I don't know if he's going to be there because he was supposed to be in bed, but there's always the chance.
I am supposed to be sleeping.
Supposed to be.
That did not happen.
Now that I have you on WhatsApp, you will never sleep again.
I have
is that you have this weird idea that something besides a cookie cake can be a valid sandwich, and it's just odd.
I have to quote Abby Fitz on this right now. Cookie Cat, he's a pet for your tummy. Cookie Cat, he's really super yummy. Cookie Cat, he left his family behind.
All right,
okay,
so I'm going.
Might not be coming to your.
So as I said, it generally takes about 20 minutes to sign off. So I started as 20 minutes early, and you know what? We're coming in almost right on time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. Thank you, Cirrus, also for coming in. And thank you to everybody who donated to his fundraiser, my stream or his. Like, I know that he really appreciates it. I definitely appreciate it. Anybody that, like, tagged me, if I missed you, let me know, or forever hold your peace. And remember,
the AC,
we're stronger together.